At 10:30 in the evening, old Wang said, "That's enough for today, Mingsheng, let's meet up again next time." After dinner, when everyone stood up, Chen Mingsheng said to young Zhao, "You can go to rest later, I will clean up." This sentence was heard by Wen Lei, who teased, "Brother Sheng, you are taking care of both cooking and washing dishes? Is this trying to get the missus to take you into the family?" Young Zhao looked at Chen Mingsheng. Chen Mingsheng lit a cigarette and glanced at Wen Lei lightly. Wen Lei shrank his neck and remained silent. Zhang King at the side said, "Let me clean up the table." Song Hui pulled her to the side and whispered, "Why are you so stupid? Your hands are burned and you are still cleaning up. Are you the only woman in this room?" Zhang King, seeing that the others weren't paying attention, whispered to Song Hui, "Isn't it because I wet her clothes? She doesn't want me to wash them, so I just do more work." "Why do it? It's not our house. Why do her chores? At the worst, we won't take the 200 yuans we won later and let her wash her clothes." Zhang King frowned and said, "What clothes cost 200 yuans to wash? That money can buy her a new one." Song Hui patted Zhang King's head. "Just let it go." Zhang King was still a little unhappy. It was not easy to win so much. Song Hui said, "Consider it as giving it to Brother Sheng." Zhang King thought for a while, nodded and said, "That's right, it's not easy for him to find a girlfriend. Consider it as caring for your friend, hee hee." Song Hui looked at Zhang King's small face and felt it was cute no matter how he looked at it. He pinched her and said, "Okay, it's time to go." After Song Lei finished talking with Zhang King, he went to find Chen Mingsheng and others. Zhang King saw Yang Zhao in the crowd, and Yang Zhao also saw her. She came over and took out 235 from her wallet and gave it to Zhang King. "This is the money from the Mayong game just now." Zhang King took a look and said, "No need. I wet your clothes just now, so you give less, then use the rest to wash that dress, and then buy another one." Yang Zhao paused and said, "Okay." She took back the 35 change, and Zhang King saw her left 200 without changing her face, but was already extremely happy in her heart. She took the 200 yuan and put 100 into her pocket. When Song Hui came over with the coat, she gave him the other 100 and said, she gave quite a bit. Upon seeing the 100 yuan, Song Hui chuckled and said, "You keep it." Zhang King happily put the 100 yuan back into her pocket. Chen Mingsheng and Yang Zhao went downstairs with them. Old Wang said, "There's no need to send off, right?" Chen Mingsheng said, "We're just going out to buy some stuff." When Lei squeezed over and said, "What are you buying?" Old Wang dropped a fist. "Are you everywhere?" Yang Zhao supported Chen Mingsheng, walking behind everyone else. There were hardly any people left in the yard, a few old street lights emitting weak light. The night wind blew through, clearly chilly. When Lei jumped around with his arms around his clothes and said, "The temperature has dropped quite quickly recently." Zhang King sneezed. Song Hui took off his coat and put it on her, saying, "Shall we take a taxi home tonight?" Zhang King said, "No, let's take the bus." Song Hui said, "The bus station is quite far from here." Yang Zhao looked for a while and said, "Let me take you there." Song Hui turned his head to look at her, and Zhang King quickly said, "Sister-in-law, are you inviting us to take a taxi? Isn't that too much trouble?" Yang Zhao said, "I'll drive you guys to the bus station." She turned to Chen Mingsheng and said, "I'll go first." Chen Mingsheng nodded, threw the garbage bag in his hand into the trash can and said, "Then I'll go buy it myself and go home directly." "All right." The trash can was right next to them. Zhang King glanced at it unintentionally. Under the dim street lamp, she saw the clothes that had spilled out of the trash bag. Those were what Yang Zhao was wearing just now. Zhang King was stunned. The sound of the electronic lock clicking open came from behind her. She turned her head and saw that Yang Zhao had already walked next to a car. She felt that after living in the city for so many years, she had fully understood city life. She had met many types of cars with her college roommates, but she couldn't name this one, nor had she seen it in any magazine. She looked at the silver leopard on the front of the car, so powerful and swift, lifting its head proudly, leaping up, noble and reserved. In the car, Zhang King sat behind Yang Zhao. Yang Zhao only asked for the direction of the bus station when she got in the car, and then she never opened her mouth again. Zhang King quietly raised her head, and from the rear-view mirror, she saw Yang Zhao's face, just like the silver leopard on the front of the car, calm and indifferent. She held the 200 yuan in her pocket. Her hand was constantly shaking. It was an indescribable feeling, twisting her heart, making her feel uncomfortable all over. She remembered playing mahjong earlier. Every time she won, she would steal a glance at Yang Zhao's expression, trying to find a sense of victory. But Yang Zhao's expression remained indifferent. She never smiled, so Zhang King was convinced that she was angry, but she was too embarrassed to show it because there were many people present. Women will always unconsciously compare. Zhang King felt all night that she was the one who had the advantage. She was young, smart, a graduate student. Her boyfriend was tall and muscular, while Chen Mingsheng was disabled. Now that little bit of superiority was crushed. Yang Zhao didn't say anything, nor did she do anything. She even kindly looked after Zhang King's little self-esteem. But Zhang King still felt her mind was about to explode. This world is occasionally complex and difficult to name, but most of the time it is simple and crude. God drew a clear line with money and status. That line speaks for itself, telling Zhang King clearly you are on the other side of the line. After sending them to the station, Yang Zhao said goodbye and drove away. Zhang King kept watching the car all the way until it disappeared from sight. Song Hui frowned and said from the side, "Is that her car? Pretty nice." He rambled for a while and noticed that Zhang King was silent. He turned to look at her and saw a red tinge around her eyes. He quickly hugged her, saying, "Even if it is hers, it's her family who bought it. She's just a rich second generation. You, King, self-made, are 10,000 times better than her." Zhang King didn't speak, just turned to wait for the bus. Song Hui kept coaxing her, but she didn't respond. He thought there was no point in saying more and stood quietly on the side, feeling awkward. A cold wind was blowing at the bus stop, where a few people were waiting. Suddenly, Zhang King said to Song Hui, "I don't like that woman." Song Hui responded, "I've long said I don't like her either, she's so fake." As Song Hui continued to badmouth Yang Zhao, strangely enough, Zhang King was having other thoughts. Regardless whether Yang Zhao earned her money herself or she was a rich second generation, she must be wealthy. Plus, she is attractive, she should be a good catch. Why then would she go for Chen Mingsheng? Zhang King turned to ask Song Hui, what did Chen Mingsheng do before? Caught off guard, Song Hui replied, he used to be in public security. He retired after an incident. Jian King probed, what did he do at public security? Song Hui shook his head, I don't know the details, his household registration was transferred later on. The higher-ups told me to take extra care of him. Zhang King continued, was his leg injured during his service? Song Hui answered, I don't know. He has only been here for a little over a year. You can tell from his accent that he's not from here, he speaks with a bit of a southern accent. Zhang King nodded, then asked, does he earn a lot? Song Hui chuckled, looking at his current state. Do you think he earns a lot? Seeing Zhang King pondering, he asked, why the sudden interest in him? Zhang King shook her head and said nothing. Don't you think it's weird that woman going after Chen Mingsheng? She's so rich. Why would she choose someone in such a poor condition? Song Hui didn't care much. It's strange indeed, but there's nothing we can do. Just then, the bus arrived. Song Hui and Zhang King boarded the bus. Throughout the ride, Zhang King stared at the passing street lights through the window, lost in thought. She finally said to Song Hui, I think she might have a reason for going after Chen Mingsheng. When Yang Zhao drove home, Chen Mingsheng was already there. The door was open, and she saw Chen Mingsheng tidying the table. He removed the tablecloth and folded the table, propping it up against a wall. Yang Zhao walked over and hung her handbag on the coat rack by the door. Let me help you. He shook his head. No need, it's cold outside, go inside. Yang Zhao didn't go directly to the room. Instead, she went to Chen Mingsheng's side and whispered, You've been busy all night, aren't you tired? Chen Mingsheng responded, Not tired. She smiled faintly. He turned and saw her gentle smile, which caused a small smile to tug at his lips. They exchanged gazes for a while. Yang Zhao suddenly burst into laughter, dropped her gaze, not saying a word. Chen Mingsheng looked at her thoughtfully. What's so funny? I didn't see you drink. As she looked down, she saw that Chen Mingsheng had rolled up his pant leg. Her gaze traveled from his waist, sliding down and resting finally on the amputated limb. She gently touched it, then looked up at Chen Mingsheng and whispered, I'll go take a shower first. Chen Ming shook her head tenderly, Go ahead. Perhaps in that fleeting moment, Yang Zhao could see some clarity through the tangled emotions. As she was turning her head, it seemed like she saw an unknown force pulling Chen Mingsheng into silence in his eyes. She quickly turned back, staring deeply into Chen Mingsheng's eyes. Sensing the intense stare, Chen Mingsheng turned his head to look at her. "What's the matter?" Yang Zhao slowly shook her head. "Nothing." Yang Zhao came to the bathroom. Chen Mingsheng's house didn't have a strict bathroom with no shower room or bathtub. There was just a simple shower fixed on the wall that was covered with tiles. In Chen Mingsheng's place, there was only one pair of plastic slippers. Yang Zhao decided to step barefooted directly onto the tiled floor. She started to undress, piece by piece. There was no air conditioning in the room, nor a bath heater, only a bluish-white light fixed on the ceiling. Yang Zhao let her hair down and saw a small mirror hanging on the wall from the corner of her eye. The person in the mirror looked pale yet calm. She turned on the shower and adjusted the water temperature. As the hot water started to flow, the white mist quickly filled the entire bathroom. Yang Zhao, in the misty steam, saw her clothes that she had hung on the wall. The white shirt sandwiched in her soft skirt appeared even more distinct. Yang Zhao chuckled and wiped off the water from her face. The next time she opened her eyes, she saw the bathroom door being gently opened. Chen Mingsheng's figure in the white steam seemed somewhat hazy. He seemed to be looking at her, yet his gaze was low. Yang Zhao noticed his close-fitting vest, which was as black as his hair, as black as his eyes. Sometimes aware, sometimes doubtful, sometimes intense, sometimes silent. The shower water was pouring on Yang Zhao, rolling off her body and onto the floor. The sight of that man's calm demeanor was pure torment for Yang Zhao, dragging each moment on. Yang Zhao said, "Chen Mingsheng, come over." With the support of his crutch, he walked towards her. The bathroom was small. Merely one step forward brought the shower water splashing onto him. He didn't stop, instead, progressing until he stood before Yang Zhao. The hot water swiftly soaked his clothes, the ends of his hair, and the arm that was holding the crutch. Lowering his gaze, he observed Yang Zhao, her long hair wet and falling to the back of her head, drops of water vibrating on her full forehead. Yang Zhao looked up at him, laughing softly as she said, "Chen Mingsheng, you are blocking the light." She heard a crisp sound. Chen Mingsheng lets go of the crutch. Both his hands held Yang Zhao's waist. Yang Zhao wrapped her arms around his sturdy back and whispered, "The floor is slippery, be careful." Chen Mingsheng stood there silently, appearing even more profound in Yang Zhao's vision as she painted his features against the backlight. She reached out and stroked his wet hair. She called out, "Chen Mingsheng." Still motionless, he responded with a quiet hum. Yang Zhao laughed, saying, "That day you also got drenched like you are now. That night, that unexpected encounter. If it weren't for that heavy rain, everything might be different." Chen Mingsheng's one hand bracing against the wall corner, the other holding Yang Zhao's waist. Yang Zhao's body was slightly tense. Chen Mingsheng whispered, "Relax." Yang Zhao wanted to heed his words, but it seemed as if her body wasn't under her control. Chen Mingsheng held her abdomen, waiting for a moment, yet Yang Zhao remained rigid. Impatient, he clutched her arms and forcefully pulled her in for a quick embrace. Yang Zhao felt her stomach tightened, her body lifted off the ground, and she could feel the adjustment of Chen Mingsheng's waist behind her and his other hand supporting her lower body. When they rejoined, Yang Zhao could not hold back from making a sound due to the sudden intensity. Her short outcry was hushed as she quickly bit down on her lower lip. She reached for Chen Mingsheng's hand, her legs weak. Chen Mingsheng steadied himself, one hand pressing against the wall, the other arm around Yang Zhao. To Yang Zhao, Chen Mingsheng seemed like a child who had found an interesting game, playing repeatedly without any sign of stopping. Of course, she would not meet his expectations by giving him any vocal indications of pleasure. Yang Zhao frowned, her jaw clenched against the sound of rushing water. Seeing her resistance, Chen Mingsheng inexplicably laughed. Yang Zhao didn't know why. It is as if tonight's intimacy was more silent than usual. She thought perhaps he was a bit tired, but his embrace was still firm. His look, his voice, and his slightly trembling body penetrating even deeper into her heart with an absolute silence. That night, Yang Zhao and Chen Mingsheng went to bed late. Yang Zhao brought her sleepwear, a long-sleeved silk jumpsuit. She changed into it and lay in bed with Chen Mingsheng, watching TV. Yang Zhao rarely watched TV. Seeing the channels being switched back and forth on the TV, she figured that Chen Mingsheng probably didn't watch much TV either. In the end, Chen Mingsheng left the TV on a midnight movie channel, playing an English Western movie with subtitles. Yang Zhao lay in Chen Mingsheng's arms. The room's light was turned off, leaving only the flickering glow of the television. Chen Mingsheng held her in his arms, saying, "Sleep if you're sleepy." Young Zhao was quite tired. She nodded in agreement. In her sight, she could see Chen Mingsheng's slightly bent left leg. The silvery light from the TV was shining on his trousers, revealing soft folds. His leg muscles were well defined, his foot long and gently touching the bed. The bed sheet dipped slightly at that spot. Young Zhao couldn't remember what the movie was about. She couldn't even recall its title. In her memory of that entire night, Chen Mingsheng's steady arm holding her and the constantly changing light and shadow from the TV were all that remained. The next morning, when Young Zhao woke up, Chen Mingsheng was already up. He was standing on the balcony outside, smoking. His arm was propped up on the rail, a cigarette held between his fingers, more than half of it already smoked. It was still early. The sun had not fully risen. Young Zhao didn't make any noise. She lay on her pillow, quietly looking at his silhouette. His posture was very relaxed, his back slightly curved. She could see his backbone outlined perfectly against his black vest. The sight was so reliable. Chen Mingsheng's back was broad, his shoulder blades extending from his vest, forming a regular and attractive shape. Young Zhao liked to watch him smoke. Her feelings towards smoking had always been ambiguous. She still remembered the first time she smoked when she was a high school student. Perhaps Young Zhao led a lifeline of playing by the rules and living quietly. Despite this, she had an early start on smoking, maintained to this day. She can't remember what she was smoking for, but she clearly remembers the feeling. It was intense and deep, as if a bottomless abyss had opened within her heart, filled with the unknown and fantasy. So from that time on, she has been smoking. After high school, Young Zhao found out that many boys in school also smoked. She had accidentally run into them in the unmonitored area behind the school building. At the time, Young Zhao despised these people. She felt that they were smoking with a shallow, childish, and meaningless mentality. It wasn't until later that Yang Zhao realized that she was just as childish as those boys. She also experienced the fact that it's such a lucky thing to be able to smoke with a shallow and naive mind. She liked watching Chen Mingsheng smoke, neither fast nor slow, quiet and peaceful. When he smoked, he always kept his head down, as if he was thinking or recalling something. Young Zhao got out of bed, put on her slippers, and went to the balcony. Chen Mingsheng saw her and said, "Are you awake?" Young Zhao stood on the balcony and looked down. It was still early, but there were already many people in the yard. Some were walking dogs, and others were playing chess. This yard didn't have any modern fitness equipment, only 2 thick wooden stakes without branches or leaves. They seemed like dead trees. A few old ladies leaned back on the stakes again and again. Chen Mingsheng asked, "Are you hungry?" Young Zhao shook her head and said, "No, I'm heading back soon." Chen Mingsheng nodded. Young Zhao found the morning breeze very comfortable. She stood there and after a while turned around, intending to wash her face. As she turned, Chen Mingsheng reached out, holding her. Young Zhao asked, "What are you doing?" Chen Mingsheng smiled and gently kissed her lips before letting go. After Yang Zhao had freshened up, she left. Before leaving, she said to Chen Mingsheng, "I'll visit you again." Chen Mingsheng nodded. As Yang Zhao reached her home, she realized she had left her handbag at Chen Mingsheng's place. Her keys, wallet and phone were all inside. Yang Zhao rang the doorbell. Yang Jinchen soon came to open the door. "Sis, you are back." Yang Zhao entered the house, asking, "What were you doing?" Yang Jinchen replied, "Reading." Yang Zhao patted his shoulder and asked, "Have you eaten?" Yang Jinchen answered, "Yes, I ordered Pizza Hut." Yang Zhao smiled and said, "Continue studying." Yang Jinchen looked at Yang Zhao, wanting but hesitating to speak. Yang Zhao unlaced her shoes and asked, "What is it?" Yang Jinchen recalled, "Do you remember the thing I mentioned yesterday?" Yang Zhao nodded, "Yes." Yang Jinchen relieved, "That's good." He didn't say much afterwards, turning around and making his way to his bedroom. Yang Zhao watched his retreating figure and the closing of his door. Everything fell into a momentary silence. Yang Zhao took a bottle of mineral water out of the refrigerator and poured it into a glass. Holding the glass, she stood in thought for some time. It then hit her that she couldn't recollect Chen Mingsheng's phone number. She had many shared experiences with him. One could even say that the efforts she expended on Chen Mingsheng far exceeded any of her previous boyfriends. But she couldn't remember his phone number. This realization made her stand in front of the phone for a long time. In the end, she dialed her own number. The call was quickly connected, and Chen Mingsheng told her from the other side that he was already on his way and would deliver her bag shortly. Yang Zhao didn't know what to say and thanked him. In fact, shortly after Yang Zhao left, Chen Mingsheng found that she had forgotten her bag. He called her, only to discover that her phone was also left behind. Chen Mingsheng picked up the bag and went downstairs, planning to deliver the bag to Yang Zhao at her house. She had mentioned that day that she was going home to supervise Yang Jinshan's study. After getting in the car, he flipped the taxi light off, tossing his crutches onto the back seat. Halfway through his drive, he received a call from Yang Zhao. The call dropped shortly after, but his phone rang again soon. He answered the call and lightly chuckled. Forgot something else? It was quiet on the other side for a moment. Chen Mingsheng felt a little strange. Just as he was about to ask again, a deep male voice came from the other end. Who are you? Chen Mingsheng's grip on the steering wheel paused for a moment. He lowered his phone to check the screen. The caller was listed as Zhu Miao. Chen Mingsheng asked, looking for Yang Zhao? Zhu Miao replied, isn't this Zhao Zhao's number? The traffic light turned red. Chen Mingsheng pressed on the brake pedal, bringing the car to a halt at the first line of the intersection. Chen Mingsheng said, she left her phone at my place. Zhu Miao made a sound of acknowledgement, then asked, and you are? Chen Mingsheng watched the countdown timer on the red traffic light, each second passing by. He quietly answered, I'm her friend. I'll deliver the phone back to her soon. Zhu Miao asked, where are you now? Chen Mingsheng stated his location. Zhu Miao said to wait a moment as he checked the navigation device. After determining the location, he told Chen Mingsheng, you are quite close to Zhao Zhao's place. Chen Mingsheng didn't know what else to say. He only replied with a quiet hum. Zhu Miao laughed, see you then. Chen Mingsheng only understood what Zhu Miao's see you meant when he drove to Yang Zhao's apartment building. At the entrance of Yang Zhao's building, there was a silver Porsche parked. A man in a crisp suit was standing there, casually leaning against the car and watching the scenery in the community. The scene seemed familiar. Chen Mingsheng didn't know why he could remember the car's license plate so clearly, why he recognized Zhu Miao the moment their eyes met. Zhu Miao seemed to recognize Chen Mingsheng too. He waved at him tentatively. Chen Mingsheng nodded to him. Zhu Miao walked over, bent down by the car window and said, hello. Chen Mingsheng was still sitting in the car, glanced at Zhu Miao and said, hello. Zhu Miao said, Zhao Zhao seldom forgets things. You've been troubled this time. Zhu Miao was tall. When he bent down and noticed the cane on the back seat of the car, he involuntarily looked at Chen Mingsheng's leg. For convenience, Chen Mingsheng hadn't brought his prosthetic leg, and his missing right leg was clearly visible. Zhu Miao only took a glance before shifting his gaze away. Chen Mingsheng didn't say anything, and Zhu Miao said, shall we go up together? Chen Mingsheng was holding the steering wheel and gently shook his head. He passed the handbag on the passenger seat to Zhu Miao and whispered, I'm not going up. Zhu Miao took the bag and said, thank you. Chen Mingsheng said lightly, don't mention it, and then backed out. Zhu Miao straightened up and watched Chen Mingsheng reverse and leave. He watched the red taxi disappear from his field of vision, pursed his lips, loosened his collar, and then turned and entered the building. When Yang Zhao opened the door and saw Zhu Miao, her eyebrows frowned slightly. Zhu Miao squinted and said in a sorrowful tone, Zhao Zhao, did you forget I was coming today? Yang Zhao thought for a moment, recalling that he had told her not long ago that he was going to return to China and have dinner with her. Is it today? Yang Zhao welcomed Zhu Miao into the door and said, sorry, I forgot. Zhu Miao entered the room and placed the bag in his hand on the shoe cabinet, saying, you've been forgetting a lot of things lately. Yang Zhao stared at the bag and was obviously startled. She looked at Zhu Miao and asked, how did it end up with you? Zhu Miao said, I met the guy who delivered the bag downstairs. Yang Zhao asked, where is he? Zhu Miao changed into slippers and said, I invited him to come up with me, but he declined and has already left. Yang Zhao stared at the black handbag, silenced for a while, and asked Zhu Miao, did he say anything before he left? Zhu Miao walked into the living room, took out a bottle of wine from the wine rack, and placed it on the table. What do you want him to say? Yang Zhao turned around and saw Zhu Miao had taken off his suit and was sitting comfortably on the sofa. He was also looking at her, smiling and saying, you didn't forget the bag when you took the taxi, did you? Yang Zhao did not speak. Zhu Miao poured a glass of wine and swirled it in the glass without drinking it, as if he was bored. Yang Zhao lit a cigarette and sat across from Zumai. Did you figure it out? Zumai watched the spinning wine and asked, figure out what? Yang Zhao was too lazy to beat around the bush with him. I spent last night at his. Zumai's hand didn't stop. Is that so? Yang Zhao flicked the ash from her cigarette and said, I'm with him now. Zumai suddenly laughed. He looked at Yang Zhao sitting across from him, his expression calm and indulgent, as if he was looking at a naive child. Zhao, do you know what you look like now? Yang Zhao placed a cigarette in his mouth, paying no attention to him. Zumiao said, you're like a young student entangled in first love, expecting the whole world to make way for your fleeting pleasures. Yang Zhao said, you just take care of yourself. Zumiao gave a small laugh and finished his drink in one gulp. He looked at Yang Zhao, saying, the choices you make are none of my business, especially since you're on vacation. He furrowed his brows and muttered under his breath, damn vacation. He continued, vacations are for relaxing and doing as you please. However, his tone shifted, a light chuckle escaping as he looked at Yang Zhao. As your boss or a good friend, I still want to remind you of one thing. Yang Zhao looked up. Through the hazy cigarette smoke, Zumiao seemed to hold a different countenance. He said, energy is finite, so don't waste too much time on trivial matters. The glowing ember slowly burnt down the cigarette. The slight deviation in Yang Zhao's exhaled smoke made the smoke rings waver slightly. From the side, a voice called out. Yang Jinchen emerged from the bedroom. Zumiao had met Yang Jinchen once before. He sat on the couch, smiling as he greeted Yang Jinchen. Hello, boy. Yang Jinchen nodded in return. Hello. He came over to Yang Zhao and said, Sis, I'm going to get some water. Yang Zhao stayed silent, seemingly lost in her own world. Yang Jinchen opened the fridge and took out a bottle of water himself. Yang Zhao suddenly stood up and spoke in a hushed tone. I need to go to the restroom. Watching Yang Zhao leave, Yang Jinchen turned to Zumiao. I heard you guys talking earlier. Zumiao raised an eyebrow. Oh? Yang Jinchen slightly lowered his head. I don't like that guy either. Zumiao asked, you know him? Yep. Yang Jinchen thought of Chen Mingsheng, a scowl appearing on his face. A cripple, sticking around my sis all the time, think he can just live off a wealthy woman. Zumiao poured half a cup of wine. How long have they known each other? Yang Jinchen simply responded, not long. Zumiao chuckled, it seems like you really don't like him. Yang Jinchen let out a cold laugh, closed the fridge and prepared to leave. Zumiao said, wait a minute. Yang Jinchen turned around to see Zumiao standing up and walking over. Although Yang Jinchen wasn't short, he was still half a head shorter than Zumiao. Comparatively, with Zumiao's well-built body from regular exercise, Yang Jinchen, who was still growing, couldn't quite match up to him. Facing Zumiao, Yang Jinchen was taken aback by the imposing figure before him. Dressed in a neat shirt, handsome and dashing, his hair immaculate, with a faint scent of men's cologne, Yang Jinchen pursed his lips. Zumiao, with his superior appearance, neither arrogant nor overtly friendly, his aloof demeanor compelled the young Yang Jinchen to admire him. Zumiao took out a small box from his pocket and handed it to Yang Jinchen. Accepting the box, Yang Jinchen asked, what's this? Zumiao said, it's for your sister. It was a black velvet box with a simple design. Prying the box open with his thumb, Yang Jinchen saw a ring inside. Not a diamond, not gold or silver, but a green gemstone ring. Its deep green color, seemingly containing a world within, laid peacefully inside the velvet box, bringing forth a cool sensation, calming anyone who lay eyes upon it. Lifting his gaze, Yang Jinchen looked at Zumiao. A ring? Zumiao met his gaze, his eyebrows raised in a teasing manner. If you keep staring at me like that, I'll be embarrassed. Yang Jinchen closed the box. Why don't you give it to her yourself? Zumiao shrugged. I'm shy. Unable to resist, Yang Jinchen opened the box again, where he stared at the deep emerald, seemingly entranced. Zumiao spoke softly. Does it look like your sister? Yang Jinchen looked up to see Zumiao's gaze also fixed on the ring. With a less excited expression, a calm Zumiao finally exhibited the depth, mixed with a trace of fatigue, that men of his age should have. Yang Jinchen suddenly asked him, do you like my sister? Zumiao looked at Yang Jinchen and said, most things in this world cannot be simply explained with a single word. Yang Jinchen frowning thought for a while, and then asked, so do you like her or not? Zumiao, seeing Yang Jinchen's eyes fixed on him, conceded with a smile, yes I do. Yang Zhao washed her face in the bathroom, and after coming out, she went into the bedroom, her hand closing the door behind her. She took out her phone, moved to the most interior part of the room, and dialed Chen Mingsheng's number. She wanted to hear his voice, regardless of what he said. It took Chen Mingsheng a long time to answer the phone. Hello? Chen Mingsheng, it's Yang Zhao. Having said that, Yang Zhao didn't know what else to say. Holding her phone, she looked out to the tall buildings outside the window. An indefinable silence. Chen Mingsheng said nothing, and Yang Zhao, biting her lips, said, "Thank you for bringing my bag." Chen Mingsheng responded affirmatively and whispered, "It's nothing." After pausing for a while, Yang Zhao then asked, "Do you have time today?" She had finally asked. She had forgotten about today's dinner date with Zhu Miao, the tutoring session she was supposed to have with Yang Jinchen, or maybe she just pretended not to remember. Yang Zhao was eager to see Chen Mingsheng, but Chen Mingsheng responded, "I'm sorry, I have the night shift today." Yang Zhao's heart suddenly quieted down, not cold, not heavy, just quiet. She replied lightly, "Then I'll contact you next time." Chen Mingsheng answered, "Okay." After hanging up the phone, Yang Zhao realized that her hand was trembling. She knew that Yang Jinchen and Zhu Miao were chatting in the living room, and she could probably guess what they were talking about. Sitting on the bed, she didn't want to go back to the living room at all. Human energy is limited. Don't waste too much time on boring things. "I'm sorry, I have the night shift today." Zhu Miao and Chen Mingsheng's words kept surfacing in her mind over and over again. Yang Zhao held her forehead and took a deep breath. Who else? Apart from her brother and her boss, who else would tell her that she was walking a twisted path? Who else? Chen Mingsheng was lying on his bed, smoking a cigarette. Too lazy to check the time, he had a rough idea that he had been sitting like this for over an hour. His right leg was a bit uncomfortable, but he didn't feel like moving. Next to Chen Mingsheng was an ashtray, with more than a dozen cigarette butts littered inside. His phone was in one of his hands. He turned it on and looked at the last call he made. It lasted for 34 seconds. He took another puff of his cigarette. Just then, his phone rang. At the moment the phone rang, he could not deny that his heart also jumped violently. He looked at the screen of the phone. The incoming caller ID showed Song Hui. Chen Mingsheng held the cigarette in his hand and answered the call. "Hello? Hello, Brother Sheng, it's Song Hui." "Yes, what is it?" Chen Mingsheng responded indifferently. It's like this." Song Hui cleared his throat and said, "I'd like to invite you to dinner tonight." Chen Mingsheng asked, "Why the sudden meal?" Song Hui laughed and responded, "The last few times it was you who paid. Give me a chance to show my hospitality." Chen Mingsheng laughed lightly and said, "No need to go to the trouble." Song Hui stated, "Brother Sheng, you seem quite tired lately." Chen Mingsheng replied, "Do I?" "Just come and clear your mind." Song Hui said, "Chowking will also be there. She has something else to tell you." Chen Mingsheng reacted, "What's it?" Song Hui stammered, saying, "It's hard to explain over the phone. Let's have dinner tonight." Chen Mingsheng was still somewhat hesitant. Song Hui added, Chowking said, "It seems to be about your sister-in-law." Chen Mingsheng's grip on his phone tightened slightly. "What?" Anyways, just come out." Song Hui said, 8 o'clock tonight. Is that okay?" Chen Mingsheng paused for a while, asked, "Where?" Song Hui replied, "How about the lot food stall near your house? It's a bit closer to you." Chen Mingsheng took a puff on his cigarette and said, "Okay." Yang Zhao sat in bed in her bedroom, not moving until Zhu Miao came in knocking. "Oh, Zhao, I thought you were taking a bath. Turns out you're hiding in your room." Zhu Miao entered. It was his first time entering Yang Zhao's bedroom. He looked around curiously. Yang Zhao sat on the bed smoking, without turning her head. Zhu Miao stood in front of Yang Zhao, his strong body blocking her line of sight. Yang Zhao looked up from within the darkness and asked, "When are you leaving?" Zhu Miao looked aggrieved and said, "You're not trying to kick me out, are you?" "No," Yang Zhao said, "I'm just asking." Zhu Miao replied, "There's a trade fair in Beijing in a few days. I'm going to attend." Yang Zhao nodded her head. Zhu Miao looked at her and said, "The sun's about to set. Are you hungry?" Yang Zhao, who had no appetite at all, shook her head and said, "Not hungry." Zhu Miao, one hand on his stomach, said, "But I am." Yang Zhao stubbed out the rest of her cigarette and asked, "What do you feel like eating?" Zhu Miao said, "I'm not familiar with this place. This is your hometown, you pick the place." Yang Zhao looked at him and said, "Any place I take you, you'll eat?" Zhu Miao obediently nodded his head and said, Yes, I'll eat wherever you take me. Yang Zhao said, All right, rest a bit more, I'll take you to eat later. Zhu Miao lowered his head to look at Yang Zhao. He saw the top of Yang Zhao's black head. He saw a corner of her forehead. Zhu Miao walked over, lifted his hand, and gently propped up Yang Zhao's chin. Looking at him, Zhu Miao said softly, Zhao Zhao, you look quite worn out. Yang Zhao turned her head away from Zhu Miao's hand. She said, It's nothing. Zhu Miao asked, May I have a cigarette? Yang Zhao turned her head in puzzlement, looked at him and said, I thought you don't smoke? Zhu Miao laughed and said, I just want to smell it. Yang Zhao passed him the cigarette box. He took it, picked out one, twirled it in his slender fingers, and then held it up to his nose to sniff. He said, Zhao Zhao, do you remember the scene of our first meeting? Yang Zhao responded lightly, at an artist's gathering in California. Zhu Miao laughed and twirled the cigarette rapidly between two fingers. He said, You got the timing wrong, you thought the gathering was the following day. That day, before you rushed over, you'd been smoking a lot. You rushed over without changing and sprayed lots of perfume to mask the smell of smoke. It seemed Yang Zhao also recalled the embarrassment of that time. She was then just a postgraduate student, a newcomer in the art world. She laughed lightly and said, Yes, that's right. Zhu Miao playfully said, Talking to you almost smoked me to death. Yang Zhao glanced at him. Zhu Miao said, Good thing I had seen your work, otherwise I might have missed out. Yang Zhao laughed lightly, looked at him again, and found Zhu Miao was still watching her quietly. He repeated, Good thing. Yang Zhao looked down, her eyes half lowered. Zhu Miao said, Sometimes I feel that you still seem to be that somewhat indifferent, yet somewhat naive child from years ago. Yang Zhao quietly lowered her head. Zhu Miao whispered, But I know you're not that naive. Zhao Zhao, it's not that I look down on that man, it's just because you're the heroine, so I find it a bit strange. Yang Zhao couldn't speak. She occasionally lifted her eyes to see Zhu Miao's expression, then couldn't help but lower her head again. Just as he said, she was like an elementary school student who hadn't graduated yet, nowhere to hide under the teacher's gaze. And the answer the teacher needed, she didn't know herself. She thought of Chen Mingsheng, his looks, his kiss, and finally his missing leg. Maybe she vaguely understood the reason, but the answer seemed to be hidden deep within, and she couldn't give it right away. Seeing that Yang Zhao didn't speak, Zhu Miao didn't pressure her further. He put the cigarette into his pocket and then returned the cigarette box to Yang Zhao, saying, I'm going to clean up a bit, we will go out for dinner in a bit. Yang Zhao responded with a low hum. As Zhu Miao approached the door, he paused and said, By the way. He held the doorknob, turned his head and said to Yang Zhao, I have one more thing to tell you. Yang Zhao turned her head, and Zhu Miao, not far from her, said, Those who make you feel tired and unhappy, whether they are friends or others, don't contact them. Zhu Miao added, blinking, You have this right, be kind to yourself. Yang Zhao let out a soft laugh and said, Thank you. When they went out for dinner in the evening, Yang Zhao drove her own car. Zhu Miao sat in the passenger seat and asked her, So what should we eat? Yang Zhao, focusing intensely on her rearview mirror, said, Didn't you say you're fine with anything? Zhu Miao said, That's right, anything is fine. Where do you want to take me? Yang Zhao drove the car out of the neighborhood, saying, To a place I like. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Chen Mingsheng arrived on time at the big open-air dining court. The place was bustling. Song Hui and Zhang Qing were already there. Chen Mingsheng walked over using his cane. They chose a table outside. Song Hui beckoned to Chen Mingsheng, Brother Sheng, come sit here. Chen Mingsheng put the cane aside and asked, Did you guys wait long? Zhang Qing shook her head on the side. No, we just arrived. Chen Mingsheng nodded. Song Hui called over a waiter, ordered dishes, and also a few bottles of beer. Brother Sheng, it's always you treating us. This time it's on us. Come on, let's drink. Song Hui poured a cup for Chen Mingsheng, who said softly, holding his cup, You've helped me a lot, no need to be so polite. Song Hui laughed. Yeah, we're all brothers. Why act so formal? Chen Mingsheng finished his drink in one gulp. As they were drinking, Zhang Qing served dishes for Song Hui, saying, Both of you take it slow, no one's rushing you. Song Hui laughed. You don't understand. Real men drink in big gulps, only sissies sip. Zhang Qing chuckled softly, then served a scallop to Chen Mingsheng, saying, Brother Sheng, you should also eat. Chen Mingsheng nodded. Thank you. Zhang Qing shook her head. No need to thank me. Soon they had finished the 5 bottles of beer. Song Hui's face was a bit red due to the alcohol. Chen Mingsheng indicated to the waiter to stop refilling their glasses and said, "You should take it easy. You still have to go home later, don't get too drunk." No problem, no problem, Song Hui belched and said, "My face just gets red from drinking, but I'm not drunk." Chen Mingsheng lowered his head, then looked up at Song Hui. "You said, today, there's something about Yang Zhao." Song Hui paused, then furrowed his brows, saying, "Her. Chen Mingsheng asked, "What happened to her?" Song Hui took a deep breath, with traces of alcohol showing in his eyes. "Brother Sheng, are we brothers?" Chen Mingsheng looked at Song Hui's flushing face, nodded and said, "Yes." "Right. We are brothers, and I'm saying all this for your own good." Song Hui pointed vaguely in a direction, saying, "Brother, I advise you to end things with that woman." Chen Mingsheng was taken aback, then laughed softly. "What are you talking about?" Song Hui said, "Brother Sheng, why are you so stubborn? What do you see in her?" Chen Mingsheng didn't say a word. Zhang King was a bit exasperated and quickly pulled on Song Hui, saying, "What nonsense are you talking? Brother Sheng is not that kind of person." "I know," Song Hui said loudly. He turned his head and stared at Chen Mingsheng. "There are so many good women in this world. Isn't she just a bit wealthy?" He pointed at Zhang King and said, "Little King, her family is rural. With 2 younger brothers at home, she had to study and take care of her family since she was young. But she is very determined, got into a city university, and received a scholarship to get into grad school. Her parents are not as affluent as Yang Zhao's parents, but what does she lack in comparison to Yang Zhao?" Zhang King bit her lips, her eyes starting to glisten. She pulled Song Hui, saying, "Stop talking about this." Chen Mingsheng took out a cigarette, lit it, and asked softly, "Did you call me here just to tell me this?" Song Hui blew his nose, sitting on the side panting. Zhang King quickly said, "Brother Sheng, it's not like that. Actually, we have something else to tell you." Chen Mingsheng glanced at her, saying, "What is it?" Zhang King paused. She had not noticed before that Chen Mingsheng's eyes seemed so dark. She lowered her head and took a stack of papers from her bag. She said to Chen Mingsheng, "Brother Sheng, I'm not certain myself, but..." She handed the papers to Chen Mingsheng. He took them and glanced for a bit. "What is this?" "That's the woman you're interested in," Song Hui said from the side. "She's a deviant." Chen Mingsheng's brows furrowed. Zhang King quickly said, No, I stumbled upon this by accident. You see what's written on it." She kept watching Chen Mingsheng's expression, speaking softly. "Brother Sheng, do you know there's a type of psychological disorder where people are specifically attracted to disabled individuals?" Chen Mingsheng was looking at the papers in his hand, and Zhang King continued, "It's said that when they see a disabled person's body, they will have..." She seemed a bit embarrassed, whispering, "They will have certain impulses." Song Hui said, "That's deviant. You know, it's just like those homos and pedophiles, they're all fucking sick. If I was responsible for this, I'd round them all up." Zhang King tugged at Song Hui, saying, "Lower your voice, others might hear us and misunderstand what we're talking about." Chen Mingsheng had a cigarette in his mouth and he silently read each piece of paper in his hand. Song Hui said, "Brother Sheng, I just said, why would that woman come looking for you for no reason? You remember, back at the police station, she was acting high and mighty, but after learning that your leg has a condition, she's been eagerly coming to see you, right?" Chen Mingsheng was quietly turning over the papers in his hand. "She's fucking playing with you, treating us like fools. Brother Sheng, you should..." Song Hui's speech came to a halt when he was suddenly pulled by Zhang King. He turned to look and saw Zhang King's eyes were pointing at somewhere behind Chen Mingsheng. Song Hui glanced in that direction and saw Yang Zhao standing a couple of tables away, looking at them. Zhang King quickly laughed and said, "Sister-in-law, you're here too?" Chen Mingsheng turned around to face Yang Zhao. "What do you mean, sister-in-law?" Song Hui interrupted Zhang King. Standing up, he glared at Yang Zhao. It was unclear whether he was speaking to Zhang King or Yang Zhao, who's the sister-in-law. We're all normal people. Zhang King looked a bit scared. She was thinking which part of the conversation had Yang Zhao heard. They said she was a deviant. What would happen if she made a fuss about it? But she realized upon thinking again that she had guessed right from the start. Yang Zhao really did have other motives. She was helping Chen Mingsheng. There was a solitary light bulb hanging above in the outdoor dining court. Yang Zhao happened to be standing right under it. The harsh white light illuminated her face, making it appear somewhat pale. Yang Zhao looked at Chen Mingsheng, who was sat on a plastic stool. Under such light, his profile seemed even clearer. She also saw the messy seafood shells on the table, the empty beer bottles piled on the side, And sitting next to them, Song Hui and Zhang King. People around them had heard Song Hui mention the word deviant and anticipating a scandal. They all turned to gaze at Yang Zhao. Right, Yang Zhao thought, apart from her brother, her boss, there's also them. She had been living in her own world, occasionally welcoming some accepted people into it. And now there were people who wanted to pry open the door using a different way, seemingly believing that there were some peculiar or secretive things inside. They swarmed in, manually tearing open Yang Zhao's mental world, their eyes wide open and roaring, faces full of smiles, searching for what they perceived to be unknown, filthy and shameful things. Yang Zhao wanted to ask them, "Have you found anything?" Many people were looking at Yang Zhao, seemingly waiting for her moment of breakdown and rage. But in the end, Yang Zhao just smiled. Chen Mingsheng had never seen such a smile from her, nor had he ever seen her so relaxed. It was as if she had found the answer she had been seeking for a long time. She glanced around at the lampposts, the awning, the plastic table, and the people who were fixedly watching her. And finally, her gaze came back to Chen Mingsheng's eyes. Yang Zhao's gaze carried a bit of tenderness, a bit of liberality, and even arrogance. She softly spoke to him. "Chen Mingsheng, my desires are real, my feelings are real, and I am upright." Chen Mingsheng's heart started beating wildly, without any warning. Not far away, Zhu Miao stood in the shadows, his head lowered, holding a cigarette in his hand, quietly spinning it. He turned his face and looked at Yang Zhao standing under the white light. All the people there were opposing her, perhaps even that man was wavering for a moment. But she was still honestly expressing her feelings to him, even if it could bring her more embarrassment. She was like a warrior, Zhu Miao thought, defending herself before a sea of soldiers. You could laugh, scold, or despise. She wouldn't be sad, wouldn't explain, and wouldn't feel wronged. Human hearts are like desolate plains, engulfed by darkness, with only occasional thunder tearing open the boundless sky. In that occasional moment, Chen Mingsheng glimpsed through a small crack, witnessing a complete soul. In that instant, Chen Mingsheng knew he was done for. Yang Zhao looked at Chen Mingsheng, and it seemed like there were things in his gaze that he could no longer hide. Chen Mingsheng was on the verge of standing up, but Zhu Miao had already grabbed Yang Zhao's arm. Zhu Miao was smiling faintly as he looked at Yang Zhao, saying, "Let's leave here first." Yang Zhao opened her mouth to speak, but Zhu Miao softly said, "You can't just stand here and let people stare. We can talk after we leave. You can contact him later." Yang Zhao turned to look around. The crowd was even more eager due to Zhu Miao's presence. Yang Zhao lowered her eyes and simply said, "All right." Zhu Miao led Yang Zhao away from the dining court. All along, Yang Zhao did not look back. Chen Mingsheng's hand, which was holding onto the table, was slightly white. He clenched his fingers, but in the end, he let go. Song Hui looked at the situation and commented from the sideline, "Brother Sheng, don't get fooled by her. She..." He stopped halfway. Chen Mingsheng was watching him, very calmly. He was silent, without expression, but there was something about his gaze that shook Song Hui out of half of his drunkenness. Zhang King got startled and quickly intervened to smooth things over. "Nothing's the matter. Perhaps sister-in-law misunderstood." She looked at Chen Mingsheng and said, "Brother Sheng, it was our mistake. But it's okay, you see, sister-in-law was not too affected. A bit of coaxing will settle everything." Chen Mingsheng lowered his head, took out his wallet from his pocket, drew out 200 yuans and placed it on the table, saying in a flat tone, "Song Hui, let me get this meal as a thank you for your help before. I'm leaving now." After saying this, Chen Mingsheng stood up, took his cane and left. Song Hui seemed to still be under the shock of that gaze. By the time he regained his senses and saw the 200 yuans on the table, he paused, then swore, "Fuck." Zhang King said, all right, he has left. Don't keep sulking to yourself." Song Hui's face looked quite red from drinking. He objected, "I wasn't fucking sabotaging him."